my name is David and I'm a sophomore here at UMass Amherst.
Hi, I'm Cameron and I'm a freshman.
And today we're bringing you a mini post-dramaturgy documentary for Many Patterns, One Cloth.
A lot of people worked really hard on this production, including the director, Prof. J, and the dramaturg, Dr. Priscilla Page.
Dr. Page also assumed the role of lead playwright alongside with Tatiana Rodriguez. And Ruby Green is our choreographer and Calypso Michele is our scenic and costume designer.
The production ran from March 30th to April 1st, here in the spring of 2023. It was performed here at UMass Amherst in the Curtin Theater.
Some interesting background about the piece is that it's not actually a play, it's a devised choreo poem, and it was written with the help of some of the Brown Paperback Studio members. It is inspired by the theatrical jazz aesthetic as well.
Many Patterns, One Cloth tells modern stories and combines them with Yoruba folklore to help tell the story of the birth of Osetura, child of Oshun.
And we were fortunate enough to talk to some of the members of the cast. So enjoy!
My name is Honey Mahoney. My pronouns are they, them. And a fun fact is I lived in Scotland when I was younger.
So my name is Ruby Green. I use she, they pronouns. And a fun fact about myself would be, I guess kind of related to the show as well. That was the first show I choreographed that didn't have like pre-prescribed music.
My name is Ethan Durham. My pronouns are they, them. And a fun fact about myself is I play, and I think I'm okay, at 3 different instruments: piano, guitar, and voice.
My name is Ibu Deva. My pronouns are he, him. And a fun fact about myself is that I like to bake and crochet.
My name is Mickey. I use she, her pronouns, and I have 3 whole sisters.
So we were all able to, though the script was always changing, we were able to really put our own self into it because the script was so fluid, because it was written by local playwrights along with Prof. J and Prof. P and some other students who were in the production. So it was very collaborative, so it was very fun in that way.
I helped with a lot of the creative research in terms of we did writing prompts, we watched a lot of movies and other documentary footage about Afro-Cuban heritage. I was also the choreographer on the piece itself.
I mainly did music throughout the entire play, and sometimes I came in and I delivered monologues. So for me, my role was actually really fun because I just got to absorb the music that was being presented to us from the culture, but also introduce my own thing.
I was part of the general acting company, but in a more specific way, one of my roles was the narrators for the Osetura, which was a story that was intertwined with the rest of the story. So it was one of the few linear progressions of story.
I don't know, I just sort of kept doing things that they wanted me to do and that I felt like doing, and then they're like, you're gonna be the narrator, and I was like, okay, great. I just felt so confident in the story and felt so connected to it that I didn't care what I did, I just wanted to be in the room, you know? And that was the first time that's ever happened to me with the show.
So what was actually very interesting is I learned that in Afro-Cuban music, the drums have a very specific spot they sit in the ensemble. And so when it came to adding the guitar, they were like, all right, just don't mess with the drums. Just do your own thing, but don't mess with us too much. And I was like, okay, cool. And so throughout the play, I'm basically playing along with the drums, but there's one piece where the guitar plays by itself because it's sort of a somber, sad piece. So there's just some light, soft guitar, and yeah.
So we tried to focus in on the theatrical jazz aesthetic, meaning non-mimetic movement, kind of discovering your movements intuitively through your body rather than trying to pick them beforehand and stick to the same one. So it was exciting to try and figure out how to tell a story through the emotional feeling of the movement and like the motifs in terms of shapes and repetition of certain movements. We decided that it would be President Sweetwater's was always this shape, and then Salted Waters was always this shape. There's one dance movement that Gloria taught us, which is I think Sabine was doing it sometimes. It might not have been like the most obvious thing, but anytime there was this gesture happening, that is Oshun giving you honey and spreading it on you. So then when you were receiving the honey, you were like thanking her for her gifts of honey.
It was a very like collaborative experience the whole time. Like there was not a moment where we would do a scene and Prof J wouldn't ask for our opinion.
I think everyone came into the room trusting themselves and had a very unique artistry. And like a community was made very quickly and our gifts came together. But every time I just left being like, wow, I'm fucking proud of that. Because I was proud of the work that we all did.
We knew from the beginning that the costume design was going to be very blue overall, like blue water, but also that's just dramaturgically indigo dye, like the color, like the actual physical indigo dye historically has been one of like Oshun's markers. So like the way that honey and bees are, it's like kind of the same, like it's kind of under her purview, so to speak. And so brilliant set and costume designer Calypso decided that we would be using a lot of like the Adire fabric texture, and Adire fabric would be the ones that are traditionally dyed in Africa, either using wax stamps or other tie-dye methods where you see these really complicated patterns of white and blue.
But also there was use of gold throughout, because Oshun's about gold and honey and all that nice stuff. And so we had like gold like braids and stuff like that, and gold like bracelets, and it was cool.
The tank top that I was wearing was actually my own personal tank top from home that they let me like bring in to dye to wear as part of the show, which was really, really exciting.
Like they were very clear that personal comfort was above all else, which very much so was in line with what the show's message was. Like I feel like it'd be pretty fucked up to be like, this is the show, and also like put on this corset that you hate and blah blah. Like, so at my costume fitting, they gave me 2 costume choices. One of them was jeans and a shirt, and the other one was this white tunic. And I literally wear overalls every single day because I feel very comfortable in them. And so the white tunic just felt very close to me, and I was like, I love this. And they were like, oh great, it looks great on you. Okay, we'll go forward with it. Like, they were very much responsive to the needs of the actors. So.
My costume, we were talking with Calypso. We were just all talking about Calypso, like what felt really comfortable for us. A lot of us were able to go tie-dye our own stuff if we really wanted to. I did not have the time to, I wish I did. But I know a lot of people tie-dyed their own clothing, and like it was very collaborative, especially with the makeup. Like we had a lot of freedom with that, so I was able to like do my own thing, have a little fun with that, and like really just be. It was like Calypso was like there whenever we were doing makeup or hair or costumes and stuff like that. So I could be like, hey, I was thinking maybe I put some gold beads or some more braids in my hair, and she'd be like, good, give it a go, and just come back to me to see if it's approved. So I had a wonderful ruched tie-dye, like blue and white top with some like white linen pants, and my hair is like fluffy like this on this side, but braided down on this side, because they're like, we're very blue. But I like pinks.
When it came to the costumes, I was like, that was good, I won it. That was about it. But when we were given costumes, they were like, all right, what are you comfortable with? Like, here are like 3 different ones. Would you like, you can say what you like from this one or that one, and we'll try to like buy similar things and all sorts of things like that. So when we were making the play, I think people had a lot of creative liberty over their costumes, and hair too. That was a big thing. Like people got to like braid their hair and like put stuff in it and dye it. So I think we had a lot of control for costumes. Me personally, I was just like, I like that.
When Calypso first came to us with the costumes, they were all stunning. But I always wanted something more flowy, so I went to Calypso and said, hey, can I have something a bit more flowy, something that can like kind of move in the wind? And Calypso was like, Calypso saw that and was like, oh yeah, of course. Because I went to Calypso and I was like, I'm fine with any type of clothing more feminine, more masculine, and that one's a little flowy. And she's like, sure, of course, I'd love to do that. So that's how I had some input in the costume design in terms of what I was wearing. In terms of makeup, that was actually, we had some people, some makeup crew who would help us put on makeup or help give their input. A lot of the makeup, at least I did on myself, was my own doing, which is really fun because I don't really usually have a lot of experience in terms of makeup. And the one thing I told myself is that when I did makeup, I wanted to be big. Not like super big, but more so like not something that like just stage makeup. I wanted to add color, I wanted to add gold, because I thought it would be very representative of the story we were trying to tell. The last thing I had some input in was my hair, because I wanted to get my hair done for the show. And one of the things I've always wanted to do, which I haven't had time to get done or the space to get done in my personal life, was braids, box braids specifically. So I got blue box braids for the show, which looked incredible, and I love them.
I feel like part of what's so important is taking these really, really big themes about climate change, about feeling locked in by capitalism, and making them contemporary and applicable by also adding in this very ancient Yoruban text. Like, I feel like it's exciting that the costumes are so youthful because it's sort of like reminding us that this is here and now, it's still happening.
I think with my costume and everybody else's, since we were an ensemble, we all fit together really well. So whenever we were moving together, like when we were doing like the President's Sweet Waters and President's Salted Waters, us all in unified costumes of that like blue and white tie-dye and like the white and stuff like that, we were able to look kind of like a big wave, especially with our movements too. And all the costumes being pretty flowy and easy to move in also really just helped us create us as our own like body of water when we were performing, especially with like the dances or just anything in unison. We all like blended in with one another, but we also were our individual person, which is what was like critical for our ensemble to really succeed.
And overall, in terms of the choreography and the costumes playing to each other, we were very, very cognizant to make it both comfortable and also movable in the sense of we knew we'd have a lot of choreography sitting on the floor and then also going up and down stairs. So we unfortunately couldn't have as many like skirts or any other like flowing things as we wanted necessarily at the beginning. And that was something that we had the musicians, Gloria and Christine, wearing rather than the actors, because we knew that they would have to be moving a lot.
And I felt personally connected to it because there's a lot of times, not just me, but like many people, when things are going awful, when like you're just hit after hit of just like bad news stories, or it's one of those days where just everything is just nagging you and you kind of want to ignore all of it. There's always usually a breaking point or a turning point when you just like, I have to let out all this emotion. And it's always something that you avoid or try not to do or try to like put off. But once that happens, you always get that immediate rush of like, oh, that I feel better now. That I needed to do that. To like continue on with my day, I needed to not ignore the issues or the feelings I had at hand, but actually address them.
A cathartic exercise of forgiveness. I was being reborn, but I needed grace to enter. And then she whispered to me. And that like goes into a big song. And for me, this process of being in this play and rehearsing for this play has been a lot about not necessarily forgiveness, but rebirth and, you know, becoming a better person.
Everything about this story were things that I've done work on myself, like years and years. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So I just took away. It felt relieving that other people felt this way, and that people in the audience felt this way, and that people in the cast felt that way. The playwrights felt that way.
Honestly, I think one of the most relatable parts is the sense of like female rage. And I don't even like to use the word female because I feel like, and this was like my own personal experience of experience of womanhood, of I am somewhere in the non-binary category, but I don't fully use they them pronouns, and I am comfortable in my appearance and under like general understand, like people know that I am a lady to some degree. Like I get that and I understand that and that feels okay. But I did feel like there was a lot of stuff in the show that felt very, very binary, and it's also the kind of thing where we just did not have enough time as a collective to really sit down and ask those really important questions about gender and how this like binary gender category fits into this concept of divine feminine, because for me in a lot of my writing it was like I'm grappling with the concept of divine feminine in the sense of like I don't know if I want to be a mother, and I don't know where motherhood falls for me, if it falls anywhere for me, and the pressures of being a person with a uterus and that being so forced down your throat for your entire life, of like how it feels like such a dramatic choice to be like, no, fuck you, I'm not having kids, and it also feels like a dramatic choice to say, okay, I guess I'm doing it, and both of those choices feel like choices that are handed to you and not something that you get to choose for yourself. It starts with who gets to call themselves mother, and for me that's sort of like questioning even the semantics of everything, of like why and how, and then it kind of moves into more of the statement of like, it's not like an identity that can be defined and pinned down. It's gonna always be continued questioning, and it's like a much broader, you know, more spiritual.
Theater. So I would say really just let yourself be open to the process and really connect with your ensemble, because that's what really made it special to us.
Do whatever you want with it. I mean, stick to the story, obviously. Don't go crazy. But like, the only reason it came out the way it did for us is because we all just went like, what if we did this? What if we did this? I want to do this. I don't feel comfortable doing this. And everyone just sort of found exactly what they wanted to do, and it kind of just happened to connect, like things do.
But working within the confines of what you need is sometimes where the creativity comes from. Of like knowing, okay, we want to pay homage to these like ancient African styles of dyeing and dye making, but we also need to make sure that pants are fitted and shirts are fitted and that people aren't tripping up and down the stairs. Okay, great. Well, we can't make a traditional dress that maybe we would, but we can make these like white pants, or like we can do these, you know, or we can make a tank top, like those other kinds of things, which I think is a really exciting blend. Irregardless of the context of the show, I think it just looked dope.
Yeah.
Get into it as much as possible. I cannot stress enough how this is not a piece that you can exactly do haphazardly. You have to put your all into it, not just in terms of effort, because yes, I feel like with any performance and any performer, like you want to give your best effort, but more so like feel the script, feel what you're doing, actually sit there like and ingest what the story is trying to tell. Because one of the first few weeks of performance, I'm now realizing that of rehearsals, I'm now realizing that we did not spend it. We spent it working on the script.
Like, I don't know if I want anyone else to put it on. They just, or maybe, but like, I think it needs to be done with integrity. Like, this felt so organic, and it came to us through our bodies. Prof J talks about that all the time, but like, it came to us and we listened. Our bodies had things to say, and we listened to it, and that's how it came about. But was someone else going to read the script and then put on what we were feeling? I don't know. I don't know if it's meant to be reproduced. I think it's meant to be, I don't know, what it was.